Johnny Unitas was born on May 7, 1933, in the working-class neighborhood of Mount Washington in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. His father, who ran a small coal delivery business, died when Johnny was just 5 years old, leaving his mother to raise 4 children on her own. She took over the business, working tirelessly to provide for her family. Life was tough, money was tight, and luxuries were non-existent. But in the midst of hardship, Johnny found something that lit a fire inside him: football. He began playing in the alleys and vacant lots of Pittsburgh, using rolled-up newspapers as makeshift footballs and whatever shoes he could find. He was scrawny, undersized, and often overlooked, but he had a quiet toughness and a burning desire to compete. At St. Justin's High School, Unitas started to show flashes of brilliance. He was skinny, barely 140 pounds, and didn't look the part of a football player. But his coaches noticed something else: his poise, his field awareness, and his uncanny ability to read defenses. Johnny led his high school team with heart and intelligence, earning a reputation for late-game heroics and unshakable nerves. Colleges weren't clamoring to recruit him. Most thought he was too small and too fragile to play at the next level. But the University of Louisville offered him a scholarship, and Johnny seized the opportunity. At Louisville, Unitas developed into a true field general. The team struggled in his first year, going 1-7, but Johnny never stopped competing. He led the team in both rushing and passing, becoming the heart of the offense. In his senior year, he threw for over 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns, impressive numbers for the 1950s. But despite his success, NFL scouts remained skeptical. He was considered too slight, too awkward, and too unknown. When the 1955 NFL draft came around, Unitas wasn't picked until the 9th round by the Pittsburgh Steelers. But even that opportunity evaporated quickly. He was cut before the regular season began, never given a real chance to prove himself. Out of the NFL and out of options, Unitas returned to Pittsburgh. He worked construction jobs during the week and played semi-pro football on the weekends for $6 a game. It seemed like his football dreams had died. But fate had other plans. A scout from the Baltimore Colts had heard of this tough, unshakable kid playing in the sandlots and invited him to a tryout. Most teams wouldn't have even bothered, but the Colts were rebuilding and desperate for talent. Unitas came to the tryout, threw a few passes, and impressed the coaches with his intelligence, quick release, and command of the huddle. They signed him to a contract, and Johnny Unitas finally had a shot. In 1956, as a rookie with the Colts, Unitas started slowly. In fact, his very first pass in the NFL was intercepted and returned for a touchdown. But Unitas didn't flinch. He took the hit, learned from it, and kept going. By the next season, he had taken over as the starter and was about to lead one of the most iconic runs in NFL history. The 1958 season would cement his legacy. That year, Unitas led the Colts to the NFL championship game against the New York Giants. The game, played in Yankee Stadium, went into sudden death overtime, the first in NFL history. Under the bright lights and immense pressure, Unitas was calm and surgical. He led the Colts down the field with precision, calling his own plays and commanding the moment. He threw clutch passes, converted crucial third downs, and handed off to Alan Amich for the winning touchdown. The Colts won 23-17, and Unitas was a national hero. The game is still referred to as the greatest game ever played, and it helped propel the NFL into the American mainstream. From there, Unitas was unstoppable. He led the Colts to back-to-back championships and became the face of the league. He wasn't flashy, but he was fearless. His crew cut, high-top cleats, and stoic demeanor made him the symbol of blue-collar toughness. Unitas revolutionized the quarterback position. He called his own plays in the huddle, studied film religiously, and mastered the 2-minute drill. He didn't just manage games, he took control of them. His timing routes with receivers like Raymond Berry became legendary. Unitas could throw a pass to a spot before the receiver even made his break, trusting the route and trusting the timing. Defenders couldn't stop it. Over time, it became the foundation of modern passing offenses. In 1959, Unitas led the league in passing and touchdowns, taking the Colts to another title. He was named the league's MVP multiple times and set records that would stand for decades. One of his most enduring feats was throwing a touchdown pass in 47 consecutive games, a record that stood for more than 50 years. He was consistently brilliant even as the league around him grew faster, stronger, and more complex. He led the Colts to the Super Bowl in 1968, but an injury kept him sidelined for much of the game. That year, the heavily favored Colts lost to Joe Namath's New York Jets in Super Bowl III, a stunning upset. But Unitas returned in 1970 and led the Colts to redemption. In Super Bowl V against the Dallas Cowboys, he was injured again but still threw a touchdown before leaving the game. The Colts won and Unitas earned his second NFL championship. As the 1970s wore on, age and injuries began to take their toll. Unitas battled through shoulder problems and a series of brutal hits, but he never lost his competitiveness. In 1973, after 17 seasons with the Colts, he was traded to the San Diego Chargers. It was a difficult final chapter. He played only sparingly and struggled to recapture his former magic. But by then his legacy was already etched in stone. He retired in 1974 with over 40,000 passing yards, 290 touchdown passes, and 3 league MVPs. He had taken the quarterback position from a secondary role to the centerpiece of the offense. He had redefined what it meant to be a field general. Off the field, Unitas was quiet, private, and fiercely loyal to his Baltimore roots. He opened a restaurant, raised a family, and stayed active in the community. He remained a constant presence at Colts events and was revered by generations of players who followed in his footsteps. When the Colts moved to Indianapolis in 1984, Unitas felt betrayed. He cut ties with the franchise, believing the heart of the team belonged to Baltimore. In his later years, he remained closely tied to Baltimore football and supported the arrival of the Ravens in the 1990s. In 1979, Johnny Unitas was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. His speech was humble and straightforward, just like the man himself. He didn't boast. He didn't need to. His career spoke louder than any words ever could. He had taken a forgotten team in a forgotten league and made them champions. He had lifted an entire sport into the national spotlight. When people talked about toughness, leadership, and clutch performance, they pointed to Johnny Unitas. He wasn't the biggest, the strongest, or the fastest, but he was the most determined. Unitas passed away on September 11, 2002, at the age of 69. His death sent shockwaves through the football world. Players, coaches, and fans mourned the loss of a true icon. Today, statues of Unitas stand outside stadiums. His name is invoked in conversations about the greatest of all time. But his legacy is more than stats and championships, it's about transformation. He took football from a ground-and-pound slugfest into a thinking man's game. He made the forward pass a weapon, made the quarterback a leader, and made the NFL a spectacle. He was the original. Before Brady, before Montana, before Manning, there was Unitas. A coal miner's son with a cannon arm and an iron will. A kid who was cut from the Steelers but refused to quit. A man who built a career on guts, brains, and grit. His story is the story of American football, raw, hard, and full of heart. Johnny Unitas didn't just play the game. He changed it forever.